and welcome back to another video. So this month is Fibromyalgia Awareness Month. We just had International Fibromyalgia Awareness Day yesterday, and because of that I'm making dedicated videos on my channel about fibromyalgia, and I'm trying to make them more accessible for people who don't have it, so more like basic information kind of thing. Today's video is Fibromyalgia for Dummies. So it's like your basic go-to guide. When you don't know anything, this is where you start. This is your first point of information. This video is going to be split into 4 parts. The first one will be symptoms, the second one will be causes, the third one will be diagnosis, and the fourth one will be treatment. So first of all, it's important to know that fibromyalgia is a chronic condition which has no cure. It's a long-term, lifelong illness. It is also commonly known as fibromyalgia syndrome. The reason why fibromyalgia is called a syndrome is because our illness doesn't affect us all the same way. We don't all have the same symptoms, even though all of these symptoms are the most common that we have, but some people will have one more than the other, and we will feel them at different intensities. The symptoms themselves fluctuate, and there is a very big gap between people with fibromyalgia. So some people are very high functioning, have very low disease activity, and can have a pretty normal life, or as close to a normal life as I think it is possible for us to get. Some people are bedbound, can't move without a wheelchair kind of thing, and then there's everything in between. So I'm going to give you a very quick rundown of the symptoms. We have chronic widespread pain, so that means that we are constantly in pain all over the body, all different kinds of pain, from burning to traveling pains to stabbing pains to dull pains to anything at all. Any way that it can hurt, it probably will. We have chronic extreme fatigue, which means that we don't have a lot of energy and we have a hard time managing that energy and using it to do everything that a normal person would normally do in their day. Muscle stiffness, which is very common in the morning, but also other times of the day, but mostly in the mornings, and if we have been in the same position for a very long time. Sleeping disorders such as insomnia, something that we like to call painsomnia, which is when we're too much pain to sleep. Also, we have very light sleep. MRI studies of our brains when we're asleep have shown that people with fibromyalgia tend to have a lot more brain activity while we're sleeping than normal people, so that's fun. We also have very, very vivid dreams normally. Another very common thing which we all have is fibrofog, and fibrofog is kind of, imagine if our brain had fog in it, and so you can't see what's there, you can't access information and stuff like that, which causes, cognitive problems, cognitive dysfunction. We have a difficulty processing things, problems with our concentration, memory. We may have slow and confused speech, and we may get lost or forget how to do things that we normally know how to do, or forget what we're saying in the middle of a sentence, that kind of thing. Headaches and migraines are also very common. IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, is a very common side effect or symptom of fibromyalgia. So some of us actually get IBS diagnosed as a separate condition that we have to treat as well as fibromyalgia, and some people just manage with some changes in their diet and can manage their IBS symptoms. Hyperalgesia, which is an extreme sensitivity to pain, which means that we feel pain more easily than normal people, so things that won't be as painful for other people might be more painful for us. And another one is allodynia, which is when we feel pain from things that shouldn't cause pain, such as our clothes touching our body, or somebody hugging us or touching our arms, or the wind sometimes might blow and we might be painful and uncomfortable. Dizziness and clumsiness is also very common. We also have a very hard time regulating our body temperature, so normally we are either too cold or too hot. So if it's cold, we will be cold, and if it's hot, we will be hot. Restless leg syndrome is also very common, which is where we have an overwhelming urge to move our legs, so we have to walk or we have to move, you constantly move our legs, which is very annoying. We also have a lot of muscle spasms and twitching, tingling, numbness, prickling or burning sensations in our hands and feet are also very common. Pins and needles are also very common. And although I said hands and feet, those are probably the places that are more common to have that. but it does not mean we do not get, all of these in other places. Anxiety and depression are also very, very common to have after we develop fibromyalgia. And another one that isn't talked about very often, sensory sensitivity, which means that we are very sensitive to light, we're sensitive to sound, we're sensitive to smells, we are sensitive to people like touching us, and we are sensitive to like chaotic environments, so crowds and places where there's a lot of happening, which means that like a lot of things will be demanding your attention, and we have a hard time with that kind of thing. Another symptom is shortness of breath. It's tied up with fatigue probably, but we will get shortness of breath very easily from doing things that shouldn't be like high exertion. We may get out of breath from talking, from getting up, from going to the toilet, from walking to the sofa, or it might be like something a bit more. It depends on how we're doing on that day. There's a lot more symptoms. Let's move on to our second part of the video, which will be causes. So what causes fibromyalgia? Where does it come from? Why is it happening? The answer is nobody knows. The exact cause of fibromyalgia is unknown. So nobody knows why it's happening or really what it is that is happening. We know a lot of the symptoms, and we have an idea of a few of the things, like the processes that cause that, and it's just very like, we think it might be this, but there isn't any definite proof yet about anything very much. So far we know that it is something to do with the functioning of our central nervous system. We know that it has something to do with our nervous system not communicating properly with itself. So our nervous system entails our brain, our spinal fluid, and all of our nerves. So you have nerves everywhere in your body, but nobody knows what it is that is actually not working in the nervous system that causes everything else to stop functioning. There are a few theories though, and I will give you some I believe more than others, but that's just my personal opinion. Theory number one is what I just told you, which is changes in the way that our central nervous system processes pain signals from the body. Theory number two is that there are some chemical imbalances in our brain. Some people have mentioned dopamine or serotonin, and another one that I don't remember the name of, but some people have mentioned that we may have lower values or lower numbers of these chemicals in our brain, and that might be what's causing the condition, but again, just a theory. Theory number three is that our sleep problems are what is causing our fibromyalgia and not just a symptom. Theory number four is that it has something to do with genetics. However, they have not yet been able to isolate a gene, and they have not been able to make it more than a theory and show that it's true. However, it is true that people who have a fibromyalgia history in their family are 8 times more likely to develop fibromyalgia than those who don't. Theory number five is that it is triggered by stressful events, physically or emotionally. So it can be an injury, a car accident, an abusive relationship. It can be the death of a parent or a family member, somebody who's close to you. However, the same thing goes for all of these theories, which is there are just theories. Some have more fundament than others, but the truth is that none of these apply 100% to 100% of the cases. Part number three is our diagnosis. How do we get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and what is the process of diagnosis? There isn't a blood test or a lab anything or a scan or an exam or a test that we can do. There is nothing that definitively says you have fibromyalgia. You don't get a blood test and a piece of paper that says it very clear as day. So fibro is diagnosed by ruling out other conditions. Basically, you get blood and urine tests, you may get x-rays or CT scans or MRIs or all of them, and you'll get tested for thyroid problems, you'll get tested for a bunch of other things. And if everything comes back clear, as in you're perfectly healthy and perfectly normal, and you still have the pain and the symptoms, then we move on to the sort of diagnosis process criteria thing that is the official way to diagnose fibromyalgia. First, you rule out everything else, and then you must have pain in 12 of the 18 trigger points. I personally had pain in all 18. It was not a fun test, I can tell you. You must have symptoms at the same sort of intensity or similar intensity for at least 3 months. Last part of the video, treatments. I think it's the most frustrating thing about this condition is that, okay, we have all these symptoms, great start, right? And then everything else is like, oh, we're not sure, we don't know, I don't know yet, maybe that, maybe this. There's just no actual concise factual information. It's just a lot of guessing. So treatments is no different. It's just a lot of guessing. So there's no cure for fibromyalgia. If you've heard somebody who has been cured, they either are in remission and the illness will come back later to haunt them, or they might not have had fibromyalgia in the first place. They might have been misdiagnosed. It's not super common that people will go into complete remission where they don't have any symptoms, but it does happen. For most of us, we just have like less symptoms, or the symptoms are not as aggressive, and we can get on with our day a little bit and we have some quality of life. So normally, even when we are doing treatments, we are still going to have symptoms. The point of our treatments normally is just to ease the symptoms, to make them less aggressive, and to give us some quality of life. So normally, fibromyalgia is treated by rheumatologists or neurologists. Even though we are normally treated by rheumatologists and neurologists, it is also very common for us to have other specialists as like our permanent doctors, and we have like normally a team. So we might have a few doctors that we see regularly because they will help with other specific symptoms. I find that seeing specialists for different things that are happening, even if they are caused by fibro, is very helpful because it can help you understand your symptoms better and to have a more effective way of managing them and treating them. Another thing that is very highly recommended, and if you are going through the diagnosis process or anything like that, you will hear people suggesting that you go to therapy. I think it's a sensitive topic because some doctors think that fibromyalgia is psychosomatic, whatever, like you think that you have it, it's all in your head kind of thing. However, I do find that therapy is helpful because when you are getting diagnosed, when you're getting sick, it changes your life completely and it will affect every single aspect of your life forever. So it is a very big change, and therapy can help you process that better and can help you manage that better. Our problem is in the nervous system, and our emotions can have a very big impact on our nervous system, and I find that stress and anxiety and sadness can really make our symptoms worse. I find that having therapy and like managing that, learning to cope with all the anxiety and depression that comes with it, can really be beneficial to our symptoms. It's not going to cure you, it's just going to give you an extra help at managing it all, and often your family might not understand, nobody else you know has fibromyalgia, so it can be really helpful because they will just listen to you and they will help you find that strength and that positivity that you need to get through this. There is no like agreed treatment. Some of us take antidepressants, some take other things, some don't take any medication at all. A lot of people find that medical marijuana is really helpful. It's not legal here in Portugal, so some people find that acupuncture helps, or massages, or going to the chiropractor, or there's a lot of different kinds of things that you can do to help you manage it. The medication that is most commonly taken for fibromyalgia are pregabalin, I don't know how to say it. It is a medication meant for anti-seizures. Another one that is also very commonly taken for us is cyclobenzaprine, and cyclobenzaprine is a muscle relaxant. There's also duloxetine. I'm not sure about that one specifically because I'm not on it. Oh, also gabapentin, which is similar to pregabalin but like different. Yeah, and antidepressants, like I said. Basically, our doctors will first try these ones that work for a lot of people, and then if those don't work, then they just start getting creative, basically. Some people find that they have a lot of side effects, or that, the medication doesn't work for them, etc. It took us a little while to figure out. It took me a long time for it to start working, and for me to see like a difference. Another thing that is normally talked about as a treatment or as a treatment strategy is exercising. I also agree with that, but I think it has to be done very carefully, and I think people with fibromyalgia have to explore and have to really research exercise before they start doing it. I have a whole series of videos on it. The thing is, like, none of this will come easily, and none of it was going to fix the problem. It will just give you more quality of life. That's all we are striving for. So bonus part number 5 is, what can you do to help somebody in your life who has fibromyalgia? First, you're already taking a step in the right direction by watching videos, by informing yourself about the condition. So that's step number 1, you're doing great. Step number 2 is keep doing that. And step number 3 is listen to them. Make sure you are being respectful of their needs. Make sure you are listening to what their doctors tell them. My partner always goes to every single appointment with me because he wants to hear what the doctors say, and it's important for him to also have his questions answered. And it's nice to have somebody there with you to support you and to help you through it, and to like know that they're there for you. So yeah, listen to them, respect their needs, respect their limitations. Don't try to force them to do what you think they should do. Let them do it in their own time. It takes us more time to get to the normal things, to do the normal things that other people do. Be patient, be respectful, be mindful that we're not being dramatic. It does get easier. You do get used to some of the things. It's always going to be hard, but at the beginning it's like a lot of things are changing, and then at one point you won't remember what it was like to be healthy, so you'll just be used to it. Which sounds really depressing, but I meant it as like something nice and positive. Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, but you'll get there. Don't worry. And there's a huge community of people with fibromyalgia out there, so look for us. We're out there. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, and I think that's everything for today. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new from this, make sure you leave it a like and a comment, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I make videos twice a week about fibromyalgia and just my life with it, and a lot of books as also, so yeah. And also you can consider becoming a member on Patreon if you would like to help me keep this channel going and keep making videos about fibromyalgia and trying to raise awareness for this condition. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!